Don't know if you guys can hear the jingle jingle of my ice cube shaking in my glass here. Little afternoon drink for the Sunday afternoon podcast of Writer's Block. We're coming right back at you. Live here today on Writer's Block. Glad y'all tuned in. I'm Mark Love, your host, and we're going to be interviewing the infamous producer and director of the Frustrated documentary series. You brothers already know this guy. He needs no introduction, but I gotta give it to him. The bio of this filmmaker, Mr. Greeze. And he was going to come on today and just talk to us and groove with them and vibe and chop it up and get some knowledge and some first-hand tips on how to do what he does. So feel free, those in the chat, feel free to come on. We'll be able to talk to him momentarily. Thank you guys for standing by. I've got Al on. We're having a little technical difficulties. who should be logging on now to writer's block. Thank you for all you guys out there who's been patiently waiting, and we'll have Al Greeze on momentarily. Can you hear us, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's going on, brother?
Man, glad you made it, man.
Oh man, I've been waiting to do this for a minute, man. So I'm glad to be able to do it, man.
I'm glad to get. I'm glad you made it, man.
Yeah, let me.
Something took you out the game, man. I was getting worried about you.
No, it didn't take me out the game. It just had me on the sideline for a minute, man. So it ain't gonna get me out the game. Just put me on the sideline for a minute, man. That's all that was. That's temporary.
Temporary, man. It's like I'm gonna act like some people out there don't know who you already are. The legendary Mr. Al Greeze, the producer, director of the Frustrated documentary film series. My brother, welcome. And I know you're a very busy man. You're out there on the East Coast. I'm out here on the West Coast. So I know your time is valuable. I won't keep you too long, but thank you for coming on.
Listen, man, thank you for having me, man. I'm here. So you don't need to rush. I set time aside for you and my brother, man. I had a great opportunity to meet you in February, man. And we've been trying to get this stuff done since February. So I'm here. I'm not in a rush. Take your time. I'm here.
Brother, thank you. Thank you so much. Now, what I was wondering is, people know you, well, they're going to be introduced by you. Tell us about what got you into filmmaking in the first place?
Wow, it's crazy, man. I was in Alaska. I was doing some financial work in Anchorage, Alaska, and one of my clients happened to be she was a reader for TriStar Pictures. And I went over her house. She was in a car accident, and she couldn't get about. So she asked me would I drop this paperwork over at her house, and I did. Okay. And I saw scripts. I saw a whole bunch of scripts sitting on her desk, and I was like, wow, where do these scripts come from? She said, oh, I read TriStar Pictures, pay me to read these scripts and stuff. So I said, you know what, I had some ideas and stuff about movies and stuff and some stuff. And she goes, you know how to write them? I said, no. She goes, well, if you want, I'll teach you how to write them. So I was intrigued. I said, oh, of course. And she started breaking down. I'll go into all the details later, but she started breaking it down. And once she finished, once we finished, I wrote the script. I was happy. I was excited. And she introduced me to some other materials that I'll share a little bit later. And then I left Alaska and went to LA. I had these scripts. I set up a bunch of meetings and met with some people and stuff. And, when you're just a writer, that's kind of like at the, I'm not an established writer. So you kind of at the lows of the bottom pole and stuff. So I was sitting in the hotel room, and I hate rejection. I hate feeling helpless. I hate being rejected and not knowing what to do next, because you're at the mercy of somebody else if they determine if they want to do your material or not. And I didn't like that feeling. I didn't like that feeling. And I was laying there in the bed looking up at the ceiling, and something said, well, why don't you make them yourself? And I was like, well, shit. I'm having a conversation with myself, and I'm saying, well, shit, I'm not to make no movie. And some said, well, just a couple of months ago, you didn't know how to write one either. And you did that. So why stop now? And I was like, wow. So I ran around Hollywood a little bit, man, got some information. And I said, you know what? When I went back to the East Coast, came back to the East Coast, I said, I'm going to go to film school. I'm going to go to film school and learn how to make them. So that's how that journey began.
Man, how long was film school for you? I mean, did you go through the whole thing, or did you fast track it?
Well, I wound up fast tracking it, and I went into film school. And as I was signing up for film school, there was some literature, some information from a gentleman named Dove Simon. And he said, he recommended that we take his course before. He recommended filmmakers take his course. So this course was like 6 months down the road, so I signed up to take the course. And in that, it was a 3-day course it took, and he broke it down. He broke it down for where you're at financially and what it takes to make them, using people of value around you that would add value to your product when you're trying to release the product. If you have that rich uncle that you can lean on, and hey, uncle, I need $2 million. And at that time, filmmaking was expensive because everybody shot on film.
How far back was that? Back in the 2000 what?
Maybe 205, somewhere between.
And it was more expensive back then, right?
Yeah, because you had to shoot on film. The digital age didn't really hit yet. When
Okay.
you could do a lot of stuff digital, and that changed the game. That's when a lot of filmmakers really started popping up. Is when the digital, when you didn't have to use film, because film was very expensive, and then you had to break down the film, how many takes per scene, how much film you had, because you don't want to run out of film. Because if you run out of film, then there go your project. But with shooting digital, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. You just have to have a card reader there to dump the footage. As you're going, if the cards get full, just dump the footage, and you can go or have extra on deck and keep going. You can keep going, so you can do a scene 20 times if you want to make it right. It just takes up more time, which can be expensive too, can be costly. But it wasn't the fact that you had to go buy that film. So that changed. That was a huge change, a game changer. That was huge. So we were able to switch from shooting on film and then shooting digital. But he broke the whole thing down. And as I was sitting there and listening to him and determining to say, okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back here, spend another $60,000, $70,000, or I could go and use this information that I've learned and put it to use, because I was armed with the tools. I knew how to write, and I directed some scenes and stuff there with him, and he was kind of like hands-on. So it wasn't like you just sit in the classroom and you had to learn there, sit there just learn. He was more hands-on. And, here's a set up the scene. Here we go. We're acting. Action, you the director, take charge and directing scenes. And so he gave us the ability to put us in that environment and actually started shooting and making stuff right then and there. So I was really excited about that. And that kind of lit a fire under me, like, okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready to go. So that's how that got started. So I ran with it from there.
Dang. So you talking about the difference between digital and traditional filmmaking? You said it's only costly if you have to take 20 or more takes and everything. So I'm just wondering, now it's up to you if you want to tell me your influences, whether there were directors that chose to use the now more popular digital format of filmmaking or the more traditional of 16 to 32 millimeter filmmaker. Who were your influences into getting into this game?
Well, for me, it really wasn't about the technology of it at the time. It was more the stories that they were telling. I remember when I was back in high school, and I saw Do the Right Thing for the first time. And that was a story. The narrative of the story was telling our story. It took place in Brooklyn. I'm from New York. I grew up in the Bronx. But I went to high school up in upstate New York. But when I saw Do the Right Thing, I must have seen that like 6, 7 times, going back and forth to the movie theater to watch that film, because it told our story from a, I won't say from a basic, but it just took it from a day in the neighborhood, a day in the neighborhood, and what it turned, the events and all that stuff turned out. So living in New York, I've seen stuff like that. You see how it's a peaceful day, everybody's having a good time, there's no problems, and all of a sudden something escalates and everything gets blown out of proportion and stuff, and then it's like a little melee and stuff that goes on. So I've seen that, but to see it on film and it kind of been shocked that, a little bit of shock, like, wow, they're telling our story. We can actually write stories and get our stories told. like that. I remember Spike from the early school days and all that stuff, but I wasn't, you know, that Do the Right Thing was more impactful for me. It hit me harder than some of the other films that they did. So I was like, wow, I could do this. I could actually tell our stories, because there's a market for it and there's a place for it. So I could actually do it, not knowing all the detail of the hard work that goes behind those scenes. But Spike Lee was really one of the guys that really hit me. That from wanting to produce and direct films, that told me I could do it. I could do it.
So how about this whole frustrated thing? I know you've written, you produced, and directed 2 of them. Can you kind of tell? I have to do this because there's some people who may have not seen it already. Kind of tell the viewers what exactly is Frustrated and what influenced you to actually produce it.
Frustrated at the time. I did a previous doc. I shot it and just left it in the can. Didn't do anything with it. It was kind of I'm a hard. I critique my work really hard, and I was looking at it and I wasn't satisfied with the product, so I refused to release it or let anybody see it at the time. So I was a little.
We got you there, brother?
I'm back. I see it. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, man. Look, we had a little technical difficulty. The StreamYard.
Yeah.
To go to Zoom pretty soon, like everybody else. So back to what were you saying? I think about maybe 5 to 10 seconds of your last words.
Yeah, I did a project I just completed, and I wasn't happy with it, and went through some avenues to get it released and showed it, but I just wasn't satisfied with the work. So being a little frustrated, no pun intended, you know, I took a little break, and I had wanted to go away on vacation, and my brother, my older brother, and I decided to take my nephew at the time. We just hanging out, and he just completed his college. He just graduated from college, so we wanted to surprise him, man. And somebody told me, recommended, hey, go out to Brazil. And I went out to Brazil, and we had a great time, awesome time. Flew me and my brother, my nephew. I'm the youngest out of 7. I have 4 older brothers and 2 sisters. I'm the youngest, so we took my nephew out, and we had a great time. And came back, and when I came back, and I was just excited from where I just went to, and was sharing the news with friends and family members, and mostly friends and stuff, that I just got back to Brazil, man. The beautiful place, the food, the women, everything. I had a great time. And the kind of the lashback that I was getting, oh, we know, oh, you two, you now, you one of them, and you this and you that. I'm like, what the hell you got? What are you talking about? And somebody said, well, did you read the article that they wrote about in Essence magazine? And I said, no. So they introduced me to, I did some research. I found the Essence article. I read that, and it was kind of totally opposite of what I just witnessed and the stuff I witnessed. But I was intrigued by it. I was like, wow, they saying this. But, you know, I did see a lot of brothers there, and I met some cool guys and stuff there. And I was like, wow. So let me do some research on this, man. And at the time, you know, I was a single guy. I just got out of a relationship, and I was single. I was taking a break, and I was just looking to enjoy myself. And then when we looked into some of the issues and stuff that were going on, especially in the Black community, that were being dominated by say newspaper articles like Jet and Essence magazine and stuff, and they wasn't telling the full story. So I went back. I actually got back on the plane, went back out to Brazil, and just did some research out there, and I met some cool guys, some points of contact. That's where I met the big homie Johnny Johnson, still with me today, big supporter of mine, and we kind of linked up.
Al, gotta tell people, as far as Big Johnny Johnson, a lot of people may not know who they is. I know you're talking about. Kind of tell people who he is and what was his role in that first Frustrated documentary piece.
Well, I call him Morpheus, man, because we were working on the Matrix type phrase and stuff, man. And when I interviewed him, he actually used that phrase in there. You know, how it is in the Matrix. And he was a brother that was living out there, who had been living out there for years at the time. So when I sat down and I introduced myself, I told him what I was looking to do while I was out there. Because when I was out there, a lot of people were shying away from me because they thought I was trying to do some investigative reporting on the negative side of it, and they've seen that and they wanted to stay away from that. So me and Johnny sat down, we broke bread, and I explained to him what I wanted to do and what I was looking to do. And so he was real receptive to it, and you know, we sat down and we broke it down, man. And he's the one that when I went out there that really schooled me to the game. What's going on out there, and, you know, where to talk to, you know, where the stuff, something to capture, and he allowed me to interview him. And, you know, he broke it down to really in a simplistic form, how simple it is if somebody, you know, having a female with you that would even take your straw and put it in your drink. And this was the culture out here. And
that was one of my favorite parts of the documentary when he said that. I kick back, I put my straw in my drink, and she knows her role, and I know mine.
Right. So when the tab comes in, you know, when the bill comes in from that, that's my role. I take care of that. But
right.
She should take care of hers and stuff. So Johnny was a tremendous help, man. I was able to do because of him. I was able to really move around and capture some other guys that he introduced me to that were living out there at the time, and get a lot of information. So Johnny was big homie still to this day, man. We still ride together to this day. He's still part of the frustrated movement, the Greeze film movement, man. Good brother, awesome.
Now, how about the second frustrated series? Or as
well, from the success from the first one, and you know, let me back up a little bit. So what happened was after you know, I finished the product, finished frustrated. Once again, not happy with it. Not happy with it. There was some technical errors in it that I could spot out, but my brother told me, man, listen, man, you need to go ahead and put that out, man. People watch how people would respond and people would love it. So before I did that, I decided to go film festivals. So I went to some film festivals. The big one I went to was the Peachtree Film Festival out in Atlanta, and you know, I hired a publicist and did the whole thing, and we went out, and the response I got from it kind of threw me a little bit, and the debate and the discussion that took over, you know, because if you go to a film festival, you know, you watch a film and then you go up and you speak a little bit about it, but the conversations and stuff that took over from there, I knew I had something there because of the impact it was making just in those little quarters and stuff, and the discussion with women, there was men and women in there, and they would discuss, you know, well, they hated to admit it, but a lot of the stuff that I was that was out, that was true, because, you know, the ideology of some of the young
they said they actually admitted that it was actually true.
Yeah, especially some of the older women in there, and some of the younger girls that people that were in there that was in college or graduating from college. And it was cool. This young lady stood up and she shared a story that she was working for some firm. She didn't mention the firm's name, and she was just low level, entry level, just starting out. And the UPS guy that used to come there to drop off their packages and stuff, she was attracted to him. They would flirt with each other. And he had asked her out, and, you know, she wanted to go out with him, and she went back to tell some of her co-workers with the little girl unit, and they told her he wear a brown uniform. The UPS, you don't want nothing to deal with. You don't want to deal with nobody like that. Girl, you here and you in this corporate world. Find you somebody in the corporate world. And she declined. She wound up declining the invitation that was offered to her, but she regretted that because, you know, she really liked the guy. And she let them persuade her not to pursue that, and that was one of the regrets she had. And, you know, she said, I was just starting out, and I'm making maybe $35,000, $40,000 a year, and UPS drivers make, you know, have their own routes, make $60,000, $70,000 a year. But her friends and them were more concerned with the prestige of working at corporate America than looking at somebody who's actually being productive. Mm-hmm. And she agreed with that aspect of the film. And had another lady who stood up and said, listen, I've been married for over 30 years, and my husband is a janitor, and I made six figures, and I wouldn't trade him in for nothing in the world. We have our family, have our kids. And they were reassuring some of the stuff that I was saying about the integrity of individuals and not just looking at the financial part looking at their financial record of it, but integrity of individuals. So I was getting the feedback, and then some agree. But one of the biggest shock that I got, I was I think day 3 or something of a film festival, and they gave me an early slot. They gave me like an 8 o'clock slot to show the film, and I was really upset about it because most people don't come out that early. But to my surprise, I had people coming out, and I saw this brother that was roaming around. He didn't know which film to watch, and I said, "Hey man, you might want to come in here and check out Frustrated."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
He said, yeah. I said, yeah, man. I produced it. I directed. I wrote it. And he said, all right, brother, I'll give you a shot, man. And so he came in and he watched it. And when it was over, when it was over, he's the first. He stood up first and said, brother, excuse me, before you speak, I want to thank you for telling me about this film, to come in here. And while I was watching the film, if y'all think I'm lying, he turned his phone around. I just booked my flight to Brazil. Here it is. And he showed it.
That's a testimonial.
Yeah, he said, I just booked my flight. I'm out of here. This is what I was missing in my life. I didn't know. He said, this is shit I was going through, and I didn't know where to go, what the angle. But here it is. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. And he said, I booked my flight, man, and I got to go home, so I get to pack it, and I can bounce, man. So
you got to pack it, man. You know what? And you couldn't get no better testimonial than that for that brother. You just met him, talked to him off the cuff, said, I got this film out here at this festival. And that's another question I wanted to ask you. You let us all into it. What's the value of these film festivals for helping independent artists such as yourself, especially independent Black filmmakers, with that brother standing up, giving you that testimonial before you even spoke? How much value do you think is that? Do you recommend that for future aspiring filmmakers?
Oh, absolutely. It gives you an opportunity to let other people in the industry as well critique your work. You'll get a firsthand and kind of like a Q&A that you can do, and maybe if the people didn't get what you were trying to accomplish, you can have a conversation, honest conversation, and I'll let you know if you did miss the mark, where you missed it at, and if you did hit the mark, where you hit it at. And so it's a great tool if you really want to get your product out there, especially for beginners, and you want to see how people will respond to it before you release it and get slammed out in social media or something like that. So if you need to critique anything, you can do that. You could do that. Or if you got a home run, there's people there that's looking to team up with you and do business with you to help maybe purchase your film from you, or do some other things with you, or do some business with you. And but it can also it can do nothing but help you. And for me, I'll share another one for you. When you go to a film festival, it's broken down in categories. So if I had a documentary, so my film was listed in the documentary section. If you had an action film, it's listed in action, and drama, and so on, comedy, so on. So out of each category, they pick a winner of that. So from there you can take it and see if you have an award-winning film. And that's huge when you want to go out and market yourself. Even now, there's tons of ways that you can get your films released. But if you want to do business with Netflix or whoever, and you show that you have an award-winning film from a festival, that's huge, because they say out of all the films there in that genre, yours was the best. And so they take it from there. So doing Frustrated, mine was the only documentary shown at that time. So by default, I'm automatically the winner. I'm the winner. Who am I competing against? Nobody. I'm the winner. But some of the upper people that had control of that, and a lot of them were women.
Shockingly, I'm shocked.
didn't like my film. They didn't like it. So
now did they address now? I want to know. I don't want to put words in those women's mouth. Did they get specific with you, or they just flat out just gave no explanation to why they just didn't like the Frustrated film?
Well, the gentleman who ran the film festival, I ran into him and I had the conversation with him because I was invited to the awards dinner. They have an awards dinner and stuff. You just put your suit on, you put your stuff on, and it's hosted usually.
Suited and booted.
Yeah, they get a couple of actors or actresses that's well known. I think at this time Vivica Fox was hosting and some other people. Yeah, I met my man from Power. I hung out with him. I can't think of his name. I'm sorry, off the top. But Ghost and Power. Before Power Kid, got a chance to chop it up with him, and I liked some of the stuff he did previously, and got a chance to chop it up. Cool brother too, man. Got a chance to chop it up with him. So you start mingling with other people, and they ask you about what you got, what are you doing, who are you? You know, I'm producer, director. I did this. Oh, okay. So we chopped it up. So when I ran into the guy that was running the film festival, and he was making sure that I was going to attend the awards, and I said, of course, man, because you know I won.
That's right.
Yeah, he looked at me with a smirk on his face, and I was like, "Oh, what's up? What's going on?" He's like, "Man, let me tell you, man, that felt bad. It got the women back there heated, you know, because they watch it too." And he was like, "Man, they heat us. What that got to do with anything? I don't care if they heat it, man. According to the laws, the bylaws of the state is when my film is entered. If I'm the only one, I win by default." They say, man, they want to get rid of that category, man, this year, man.
They want to get rid of it.
Yeah, you can't do that, man. That's a documentary. You do that, you saying my film don't exist. Come on, man, you got to hand it to me, man. And he was like, brother, man, you touched on something, man. You hit a nerve, man. And they're upset about that, man. So I said, well, shit, I'm not going to the awards dinner. I'm not going. And he was like, man, I wish you would. I wish you would reconsider. But I told him, man, if I'm not going to win, and because of the politics they're playing back there, where I should be the winner, I'm not going to attend. So I wind up not going. But when I calmed down and didn't let my emotions take over, and when he told me I hit a nerve. For real? Yeah, when he told me I hit a nerve with them, like you say, when you throw rocks at a pack of dogs, the one that barks, the one that got hit. So I knew I had something then. Then I knew I had something. So I said, okay, well, let me go home and let me put my team together so we can go ahead out and release this. And let me take it from there then, and let me see the response from there. So, and what I loved about it was all genuine, homegrown, and the response and this. I'm working on another episode of Frustrated, and the brother Charles Tyler, man, very rest in peace. When he saw it, it impacted him, and he actually, using social media, put this group together, invited me in, and what that group has become under current leadership, man, and from what's grown from there, man. So that's one of my legacies, man. I'm really appreciative of that.
I know about that, man, because I remember before, for those who may be tuning in, talking to
Al Greeze,
filmmaker, producer of the Frustrated series, Mr. Al Greeze. We were jumping back on the brother Charles Tyler. He rest in peace. He started the group that you and I happen to just belong to, and thousands of other brothers who like to travel. And he made a phenomenal step personally. I used to talk to him all the time on the phone. I never got a chance to meet him before he passed away back in 2017. But we was talking about money, crypto. To this day, I still don't get crypto, but that's not the show. But he was telling me, even though I'm an avid traveler, Al, I've never been to Brazil. My first time was 4 months ago, where you and I met for Carnival.
Yes.
This past February. And I admire that you and the we call you the coach, and we have the general manager, aka the GM, aka Mr. Alan Harper. Between you, Raphael, other brothers, you guys always still have the highest respect for brother Charles Tyler. That beach party is still named after him. So I had the pleasure of meeting you and other brothers down there. So with all that, Frustrated 1 and 2 has been out for a while. And I know you're working on releasing more of a series. Can you kind of get into that? Be as detailed as you want. And I know you may want to be holding some stuff to your chest because maybe for legal reasons, or you tell me how much you want to tell us about the series that you got coming out now with the third installment of the Frustrated.
Yeah, it's the Frustrated series. And like I said, from the response from the first one, and from Brother Charles and what he created and inviting me into that group and hearing the frustrations of the brothers that were in there and sharing their stories and stuff. So I went on to do Frustrated 2. I did broke it down into chapters. I did chapter 2, and another home run. and I touched on some issues, and we traveled out and got some information and stuff, what's affecting and impacting us as a community, and really telling the stories from the men's side of it. There's a lot of information out there, and I include women into the fold as well. So when I do any films that I do, especially talking on sensitive topics and subjects, I include both sides of the story. I include women and men, and it kind of plays out. It kind of plays out. So it's not being biased or being slanted in one way. So after the success of the first two, so I'm going back in there, and I'm going to honor in the third one. I'm going to honor our brother Charles, a good friend of mine. I was fortunate to be there with him in Brazil. I just left the day when I left the day before.
Mm-hmm.
He passed the next day. Before I even got on the flight to come back to the States, me and him sat down, and we talked about some stuff, and we had guanana. We had guanana. We sit there, we talked, man. I told my brother, listen, when we get back to the States, we'll continue to pursue this thing, and we'll sit down and we'll chop it up. I've been to Charles's house in Philly. I did some interviews and stuff with him in Philly. So we wasn't just social media buddies. I knew the guy. I knew the guy, man. I went to his hometown. He showed me around Philly. We hung out in Philly, man, and good guy, man. So he was taken away from us too short. But I'm going to, in the next one, I'm going to pay some homage to him, man, and for what he did for me. He did a lot for me. Introduced me to an audience I didn't know I had at the time, and brought me in. And man, the guy was a giving guy, so I want to give back to him, and let's not forget him, because he's a real big part of Frustrated. And so we're gonna from there. I'm doing 2 installments. I'm doing chapter 3 and 4. It's going to be released.
Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be released. I don't want to get, like I said, I'm not going to give away the sauce. I go give away the sauce right now. It's 3 and 4. 3 and 4, and I just waiting for New York City just opened up. It just opened up, so I can go in now and start putting stuff together, and we can start getting the crew together.
Is it in New York City? Have you gotten any offers from, let's say, like the streaming services like Netflix to want to take on your Frustrated series?
I have not, and one of the reasons I have not, my focus is I don't like go looking for people. I want them to come looking for me, and the only way they'll come looking for me is I have to stay extremely productive. I just had my little battle with the COVID-19, and that set me back a little bit, and shutting down cities and stuff. But when you stay productive, and especially young filmmakers, I tell you, as long as you stay productive and you keep doing what you got to do, you don't have to go looking for people. They'll come looking for you. They'll come looking for you. When you keep creating that noise and keep creating what you're doing, and people keep asking about you, they're looking for people. So they'll come looking for you. Don't spend your time and resources trying to sort them out. They'll come find you.
That's what's up, man. Now, speaking of COVID-19, has this, I'm going to ask the obvious question. You just tell me how much, if anything, has this impacted your filmmaking since COVID-19?
It made me, for me, it made me more focused for somebody who caught it and didn't know the outcome of it. Because, when I found out I had it, I was told to quarantine myself, go home, and that's it, be by yourself. So it was more mental. The mental aspect of it is huge, because like, shit, I'm here by myself. What if I, go through a breathing episode or something like that? Who's here to help me? And I'm not an old guy, so I don't have them alerts on me where I can, hey, I fall and somebody come here. I don't have none of that. So I was like, wow. So it made me, I realized I was in a battle, in a fight, and I really was by myself, physically by myself. So just try to gather as much information as I could. And some of the information that I found was that, you try to stay active as much as possible. So I would get up and do some jumping jacks. I would do whatever I could, maybe 5 burpees at the time before, the coughing and all that stuff. I just did what I could and try to increase it every day, and not just lay in the bed and say, well, I'm sick, and just lay in the bed. But I would get up and just try to do whatever I could physically, even if it was stretching it, or high knees, just raising my knees up and doing a couple of jumping jacks, and just kept doing what I could do before I got overwhelmed. And it made a difference because, after a while, kept battling. It was a fight. I look at it, it was a fight. And then I turned the corner on it and I started feeling better. So it let me know at that time how life is precious and short. It could be taken away from you for no fault of your own. We all know, you can get in a car accident or, you can get into this, but man, this shit just out the air. I don't know how I contracted it. Don't know who I got it from, any of that nature. Just know that I had it and that was scary. So I knew I had to get back and focus because I felt I had more to give to individuals. So that just helped me get focused and being in the house and wanting to get back to work, eager to get back to work to produce some more content out. So I'm real excited about that. So it's got me focused.
Brother, so besides getting back in the game, because I'm glad you're doing better. I can tell by your voice. I was hoping that you would come on today because I know you were battling this personally. So I didn't want to say it until you mentioned it first. So I'm glad that you're feeling better and you're still with us. Do you have any advice for aspiring filmmakers, especially Black men? I'm focusing on that, especially on Black men in the diaspora. It could be America, Britain, across the African continent, South America. For us, what do you, and I really want you to be thorough, the good with the bad, for improvement. How can we as a collective become better filmmakers? Do you have any advice that you might want to give us?
Yeah, don't. But let me break it. If you're going to be a writer, for anybody that's looking to write scripts, I'll just give you what I was taught, because I was told when I was taught by Susan, she told me, listen, I'm not charging you for this. I don't want you to pay me anything for this. I just want you to, if you ever meet anybody who asks you, how do I write, share this information with them. I give it to you for free, pass it on for free. And that's what I'll do. And one of the things she taught me was whatever story you're looking to tell, just let it mull over in your head a couple of times. See it. Try to see the story from the beginning to the end. Just try to, even if the middle's a little blurry, that's okay. But just try to see it from the beginning to how it ends. From the beginning to how it ends. Then go out and get index cards. Go get 100 index cards. Go get 100 index cards on each one of the card scenes, write 1 to 100 on each one of those cards. And then the first one is the first scene. What's your opening scene? What's the second scene? Just the scenes. What's the first scene? What's the second scene? And so on until you get down to 100. Till you get down to 100. Then go back to the first scene. What's happening in the first scene? Is it morning? Is it dark? Interior, exterior? Go into that process and write down from there. And then what's going on?
Now, are you saying put all that on the index cards, or have separate index cards for each one, like for the scene?
No. For when you write number 1 on there, because you're gonna get 100 of them, so you got to write from 1 to 100 on the first card.
All right.
So for the first card, you're gonna have the scene, location, interior, exterior, morning, dusk, dawn, all that stuff, and then what's going on in that first scene, on that first card. And then when you go to the second card, so on. What's the scene? If it's still, you move from the kitchen to the living room to the dining room, but you're still in there. The second scene, write all that stuff down, all on cards. And then when you go back to the first card again, write the dialogue. What's happening in the scene? Who's talking? Who's in the scenes? And you go down all the way through. So for each scene, who's talking? What's the dialogue? Interior, exterior, and you write INT, EXT, and there's some software I'll share with you guys when you're writing. Scriptware. You get scriptware software. It helps you break that down. So when it kind of formats the same way when you're writing a script. When you write a script, they're going to ask you the program will ask you, is it interior, exterior, dusk, dawn, 6 a.m., 10 p.m., and then it goes, who's in it? Who's in the scene? Who's in the scene? If it's Jake starting off, Jake waking up in the bed, you would write that on the card. Jake's waking up in the bed. He's don't want to get up, and the sunlight hit him in the eye. You got to get up, and then boom, you cut to the bathroom. He's in the bathroom now. He's in the shower. That's the second scene. He's in the shower, and then the third scene, he's getting his cup of coffee. The phone rings, or whatever the case may be. So you write that down, going down there. So once you finish with all those cards, with all the index cards, and you go over it, and then when you start to impute it into the software, it'll stop the writer's block. It'll stop you from getting confused and not knowing where to go next. Because a lot of people will just jump to the software and get the software and try to write off the software and then get stuck. And then you're sitting there pondering, wondering, oh, that's where the index cards help you out. Because you're just imputing it from the index cards. You're just going down, and then you can change it then. And as you read it, because after you write it, that's just the first draft, and you're like, I think it'd be better like this. And I was taught for every third scene you jump into, it has to be something explosive. It has to be something to capture the audience.
Wow, even for like a documentary film?
Yeah. So you'll put them to sleep. If you just keep doing it, it's like a classroom educational documentary, you put them to sleep. You have to have a punch. Every third scene, you want them to go, oh, snap, oh, this is going to be interesting. Oh, this is going to be good. And it could be something subtle. It don't have to be huge. It don't have to be big. Like, believe it or not, most of the big spot for Frustrated One, a lot of guys told me what gave them chills in that whole thing is when they see the airplane take off. When they saw the airplane take off, and when I jumped from the States and was going over to Brazil, and they saw the airplane take off, and they said, man, that gave me chills. When I saw that airplane take off, I could see me in that damn thing. Something subtle like that. From that third line, you just see. I forgot the dialogue. I think the young lady had said something, and then you see the plane take off. The plane taking off, and then people said, man, that gave them chills, because they knew mentally I was taking them somewhere else. You was mentally taking them over to Brazil. And
my favorite part was you were talking to that guy. I guess he was in his office or library setting, and I think he's was 8 minutes in. You saying, I've had several friends who just took off and moved to Brazil, and then you see that plane taking off. And then start coming on. I love that shit, man. Excuse me. I love that part, man.
Yeah,
shit was lit, man. That's my favorite part when he's coming in like that.
Yeah, that's a good brother, a good friend of mine too, man. Brian. When he's Brian Denham, and when he said, a lot of my friends just up and move, and then that airplane taking off, and then you use like people in the music, and it was just taking them there. So you need something like that. Every third scene, you should have a punch.
That's what's up, man.
A punch that get the audience and that would capture them and get them in, wake them up. Even if I don't care, action film. If you watch any action film, you watch anything, when people say it was boring because it just dragged on too long, and you didn't punch them every third scene. Boom, keep hitting them every third scene to give them something that excitement in it, to make them sit up straight and draw attention to it and not doze off. And you got to do that. So it's one
of the better documentary series that I personally enjoy, because there's a lot of good documentaries out there. I guess it depends on what the documentary is about, because yours it was very engaging. I didn't feel bored. I still watch Frustrated every now and then just to learn from it. Before it would just get the information and about Brazil and everything. And now I'm looking at it from a filmmaker's point of view. I'm still learning from it. So I'm glad you broke that down. So you have any other advice for that? For every 3 minutes or every third scene, jack it up to keep the
You want to do that for every 3 scenes. You want to jack it up, and then before you actually start putting it down, putting it in the script work. And also, don't be scared to take some of that money and pay your brothers, other people that's in filmmaking too, whether it be audio, sound, or PAs, get production assistants, or get you other people involved in it. A lot of us like to think it's a one-man show. It's not a one-man show. It's not a one-man show.
I'm glad you said that, Brother Al, because tell me personally, just from you, you can say what the film school taught you, but you personally, who are the top people important for making documentary filmmaking that you said worth paying? If you don't mind telling us that.
For me, I have my little team, man, and I have to pay it. But you always want to get to first guy, whatever assistant you want to use, and don't always use one that's going to agree with you or too afraid to disagree where you're going. So you want somebody to challenge you. What is this scene saying? It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't fit. So you always want someone to challenge you, and people challenge you will make you better. They will make you better. They will make you better. And then you got second guy you want to get is a good cameraman. You want to make sure you and him are on the same page, and he can capture what you want, especially if you're directing. If you're directing a certain scene, and it's kind of hard to be behind the camera and trying, because you can't see the outside. You can't see the filters on the outside. So you want to get you a good cameraman, and it's some, but you got to bond with them. So I hang out with these guys. Even, you know, we'll go out, we'll eat, all that stuff. So they know how I'm thinking. They know what I'm thinking. They know how I'm thinking. So when I want something from them, they're miles ahead of me. They're miles ahead of me. They go, Greeze, no, look, Greeze. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, yeah, that's it. So, you know, spend that money, man, amongst your peers. Don't be afraid to. You can't. I know a lot of guys that do it. They do it all themselves. They want to do it all themselves. They'll put the light tag up, and you can't really see it, the shades and stuff when you're filming it, because you're behind the camera as well. So being a director is one of the most important jobs, because you want to make sure the scene is lit, it's sounding right, and all that stuff. And you can't be behind. You can't do everything yourself. I know in the beginning you say it's hard, it's tough, but you find you some guys, man, that you can grow with, man. Say, listen, man, I'm putting something together. How would you like to be a part of this? And you believe it or not, some guys will say, you know, they want the money, they want the bread, and then, you know, okay, well, I can't afford this, but go find you somebody else that you can work with and you can grow with. And when the money does come in, you share that money. You share that bread. You don't put it all in your pocket. Oh, look what I did. You share that bread amongst them, and they'll be more inclined to you build a cohesive unit, man. I like working with the same people. So, because they know what I'm thinking, they know what I'm looking for, and they know the nerve I want to hit. They know what I want to do. So they'll tell me, Grease, this line, no, you got to take this out. You got to take this out. You need that punch. You're missing a punch. It's dragging. You're missing that punch. And then get a good editor. Get a good editor too. That's another one. A good editor. So when you're editing it, you don't want your audience to fall asleep. You need some punch. You need some punches there. Whether some good music will go in this scene, or called throwaway shots, and you put a throwaway shot here that'll help bridge that, and that's how you can get from A to B. So a good editor would know that stuff too. So I don't mind when I film. It's not a one-man show. I know my name is on it because I put up the bread for it, all that stuff. But if you look at the credits, any movie you go to, there's a lot of credits in there.
No doubt.
A lot of credits. It's not just one man. I don't care who you're watching, whether it's Spielberg, Spike Lee, whoever. At the movie goes on, you get the opening credits. You'll see it because it's his film, and produced, directed, executive producers. But at the end of that film, those are the people who actually make the film. So don't be afraid to spread that money around, man, and break bread with others. You know, you can't hoard it all for yourself, man. So that's what I recommend, that, man. You get good people around you and spend money with them. Spend money with them.
I look forward to seeing you again, man, because this has been, I mean, I'm sitting there taking notes. And just for me personally, you gotta let us know when you start this thing. You gotta keep telling us when this Frustrated 3 and 4 come out. I know you're not gonna get into, specific, but you gotta let us know, and you gotta come back on again. Please come back on again.
Listen, anytime, man. I'd love to be back on. Like we sat down, we broke bread, so we bonded.
Yes, sir.
A lot. We talked a lot.
Yes, sir. I was glad to meet you finally.
We talked a lot on the internet, man, and also
yes, sir.
You were one of the guys that helped contribute to Frustrated too. And I was reaching out for support, man. So you supported me on that financially too.
Oh yeah.
Man. So
I was back when brother Charles was still with us.
Yeah. No, listen, I appreciate that, man. I didn't forget that. So
no, it's no problem.
Anytime you want me on, man, just hit me up. Like I said, I'm good. My health is good. I don't have those coughing episodes and stuff before I used to have before. So
tell them how you get, man. We want you healthy.
Yeah. Oh well,
all your joints are all your films are at Greeze Films, right? Because I got it crawling down at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah. You know what? My website.
You might have the sound turned down.
No, but my sound is my website is under construction because of the future stuff I got going out. But any of you guys looking to see that, yeah, you can get it at greasefilms.com. It's under construction right now because I'm moving into. I feel good, brother. I'm just saying, I feel good, and I'm going to show that. I'm going to show that. So I'm going to show the process of working, of putting stuff out, and I'm just having the site done over where people can watch me and can enjoy it with me step by step. So if you're really looking to get the filmmaking, please check. What's this? It'll be fully up and running by August 1st. I know I can say that for a fact.
August 1st.
August 1st. So August 1st will be fully up and running. You can see Grease filming work. You can see me filming. You can see me out and about. You can see some of the processes taking place. So those who are interested in learning, and slide me an email. I'm gonna have a chat on there where people can interact with me, can talk. Grease, why did you do that? I saw you doing this. What's the purpose of that? Or what's that? So yeah, you can hit me up and you can see the process actually taking place. So, but for
Man.
you, brother, you got my number, man. I'm always here. I'm
Yeah.
available for you.
And oh,
I'm available.
tell them about your show every Thursday night. For if you don't want me to tell you something, I won't. You know.
Well, no, that's an exclusive show, man. That's for the brothers.
That's right. You're right.
Yeah,
My
yeah,
bad. My
yeah.
bad,
No,
y'all.
it's
It's an
okay.
exclusive show to a fraternity that I belong to. I'm a rookie in it, and I spoke out of place. People
Yeah,
who
you get. Don't
MO
give up.
know what it
Don't
is,
give
and
up
I'm
the.
keeping it, leaving it at that. Don't give up the sauce, right?
Yeah, that's the secret. That's the secret sauce. You can't give up the secret sauce.
If
But
y'all
for
want to
those
know
that have been,
about that, you have got to first get your passport, right?
well, no, first, yeah, well, that's the
Start
prerequisite.
traveling and be a part
That
of the group.
right, that's the prerequisite. You should already have that before you can join the team. You need to have your equipment, and part of your equipment is that passport. You got to have that. You got to have passport. You got to have willing to travel, open yourself up to new things, and then once it is, you come in and you join, and then we put you in the fraternity and coach you up. Your GM will get you out on the field, whatever field you're playing on, and then you take it from there. But I can't give up the secret sauce, man.
I don't blame you, man. I almost gave it away my damn self. Thank you.
Oh, that's called
I'm just
excitement.
so
That's
excited
called
about it because I
right.
know it's heavy. It's coming out, and I want more brothers to get their passport, to travel, and to really not just watch Frustrated, but learn from it. You just don't watch it and then share. I mean, explain to people, look, this is what it's about. That's why I wanted you on here today, so you can go into depths. That it's not just about bashing women; it's about improving our lives. You know.
Well, that's the phrase I don't understand. You say, "Oh, you bashing." I'm not. If anything that I said that's wrong, and you have discrepancy or something that I said that's wrong, let's have a conversation. You know what I mean? And then you can look. I do extensive research, and I tell you where I got it from. So when you see the information that is there, and it's not coming from, I'm not speaking on from a woman's point of view. I have them on. I have them on. So when a woman says X, Y, and Z, I have to take her at her word. I had to take her at her word. She said this. I didn't say this. I didn't put the words in her mouth. This is what she said. So we just, we have that conversation from a man's point of view, woman's point of view, and this is where we at, and then how we get here. How did we get here? And this is how we got here, from that way of thinking, the ideology, way of thinking. And sometimes I may offer my opinion, my perspective on this is what I can only speak from a man's point of view. This is what we need to do. This is what we need to do, and this is where I have found happiness, because I'm not just one that, and especially when frustrated and frustrated and traveling or something. This is something that I do. I travel. I get involved in different cultures, and I get involved in different women from other aspects. I'm still a young man, a vibrant dude. I move around, and I love being around, especially feminine women. And this is where you find them, and this is what you're looking for. This is where you can find them. So yeah, that's what we do, and I'm going to keep the conversation going, and still hitting them buttons and touching nerves. That's what
You
that's
definitely
what I enjoy
touching
doing.
nerves, brother. You are definitely touching them damn nerves. Brother, we're at the end of our interview here, the end of our program. God, I'm going on and on, man. I have to let you go, man. Damn.
Well, no, you don't have to let me go. You just have to turn me loose for right now, but I can't come back.
Let's see you better.
Yeah. So you turn me loose for right now, but I will return, and listen,
Thank
when
you.
I get updated, and when I release the trailers, the first thing after you film something, you cut up trailers.
No
And
doubt.
I'll cut up the trailers, man, and then we'll come back and we'll share the trailers, and I'll share the stuff, man. So, consider me a friend of the show, man.
You are a friend of the show, man. You are a
Yeah.
VIP from day motherfucking one, man.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that.
Greeze, legendary filmmaker, producer, director. We had him here today for just under an hour, and we appreciate y'all. Stay up, stay well, stay on your grind. Until next time, you guys, this is Ryder Blocks. We'll be signing off. Peace.